Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our live. This is our first LinkedIn Live by Design Leadership Community, powered by The Bridge. And I have very two special guests for you today. Gabriel Garbulho, currently UX and digital product design specialist at Stellantis. Stellantis is the owner of brands like Fiat, Jeep, Ram. All right, so big car company. And André Leme. André Leme is a teacher at Universidade de São Paulo. So we have three Brazilians for you today. Normally we have a wide variety and diversity. This time we are doing a full Brazilian episode. But next time will be different because we always bring in new stuff for you. So thank you all for joining. Feel free to write in the comments, in the chat, and we will try to answer your questions at the end, all right? So this is our Design Leadership Community live streaming. All right, so today Gabriel is going to share a little bit, a small summary of his thesis, which we're bringing for you today as a subject that we find super interesting and relevant. How design impacts the digital services development of business, right? So how design change and improves and supports the development of digital services. Okay, of course, we all know design is becoming more and more mainstream. Digital, of course, UX, design thinking techniques, methodologies. So Gabriel, with the support of his teacher, André, have created a framework. And also they have some really cool case studies, such as Albert Einstein Hospital in Brazil, one of the best hospitals in Latin America. Probably one of the best in Brazil as well, of course. All right. So, Gabriel, please go ahead and share your screen. And if you're ready, take your time. No problem, no rush. So you can show us a little bit about your study. And afterwards, if you like, I can go into the questions. How's that?
For me, it's perfectly fine.
Great stuff.
Yes. Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
I can see it. Let me see. Share screen. Okay. Let me check. Can everyone see it? Is it sharing at the moment? I think it's not. I think it's on the preview. Let me look at the main streaming. All right, you go ahead, Gabriel. You continue explaining, and then we'll check about the share screening in a minute. Just go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I really appreciate this space that the Bridge has given to us, for me and for my master, André, that are here with me. I'm going to bring some key concepts, like Bernardo said, about the work, the paper that I wrote together with André and together with Eduardo Camilo. And our paper are called the Assessing the Impact of Design on the Development of Digital Services. It was a paper based on a case study. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And captured the moment. It was about 5 years ago, but it's like from a lot of time from now. The moment where design began to rise as a competence for the entire organization. So design started to migrate from the craft of useful, beautiful interfaces to be perceived as a organizational competence with those methods of thinking, design thinking. Has a great protagonism, and this scene that is very common for us illustrates how the rise of the mobile channel as the main touch point for services, and that led to a scale up from for design teams, because all the digital services became to have a pervasive presence on the life of people. So while those people are waiting for their meal, they are also paying a bill. They are also sending a funny video to the group of family, and all those services that we are very used to use, and use it to develop also as a community. And this change of context from a more controlled context to a pervasive presence of services in the life of people has to be analyzed by what those services are going to mean to people. So I call for Klaus Krippendorf, a great author that wrote a must-read book, on my opinion, called The Semantic Turn, A New Foundation for Design. And he says that humans do not see and act on the physical qualities of things, but on what they mean to them. So we live on a notion of meanings, and designers act as divers into which impacts these meanings have culturally, socially, and economically that affects an entire company. We organized the work into three levels of design influence, into how we as designers can evaluate those impacts of meaning. So we used the same structure as the pioneer work of Brigitte Mozotta. So we have the operational level of influence that says about the instrumental effort, so the usability evaluation, the criteria of effectivity, and more attached to the craft of the interface itself that fulfills user needs and the requirements of marketing and the constraints of production. We have the tactical level, that is when we start to use the problem solving mindset developed for on the design discipline for ages, to bring solutions that attends to a product view. So it's where the work starts to happen on integrated teams, on multi-skilled teams, and designers start to act to solve problems that changes the product view, that evolves with the product view on these integrated teams. And we also have the strategic dimension, when the company has a solid based culture of design that can feed the strategy with new meanings, bringing new opportunities to the discussion of the business overall strategy. So it says very much about the concept of design-driven innovation, a concept from Roberto Verganti. And design-driven innovation, it's about the gathering of new opportunities through the generation of new meanings to society. So here I brought a case from the game console market, video games, and at the years of 2000s, we had a best-selling video game console, the Nintendo Wii, And Nintendo Wii brought a new meaning to what a game activity can be. So the previous the same generation of game consoles were thinking about game console as a passive immersion. So it's about sitting on a couch, getting a controller, and having a good time, mostly individually. And Nintendo Wii bring a new meaning of video game as a physical activity that can entertain the entire family, that bring together the grandma, the kids into a funny activity. After this, Nintendo continued to uh, creates new meanings on the game market. The meanings evolved according to the social evolution also. So now we have
Right.
Nintendo Switch. Hello?
Okay.
Okay. We have Nintendo Switch that channels all those meanings of the Maker generation, and it's the best selling too, actually. So we brought these concepts to a case study that analyzed 5 Brazilian companies of different sizes dealing with web and mobile platforms for their services, and with different levels of design maturity also. And it resulted on 4 main propositions. One says about the user experience as a, a term that represents the inclusion of delivery of value and meaning to user, and combining instrumental and emotional criteria. So it's not just about usability, it's not about the affectivity of use, but also about the emotional evaluation and how it impacts not only the use performance, but also the commercial success. The second proposition uh, brings design thinking as a kind of language that allows designers to act for the organizational change. So designers can promote team integration and the creation of ideas, generating value to users and aligning these new values with the business strategy. The third proposition brings the agile management as a perfect fit for the design value generation, because agile culture can support the search for new opportunities, can support the harmonization of viable solutions to achieve big strategies, the strategies of the entire corporation. And the fourth proposition brings research and testing as the main activities to the dissemination of design inside the organizations. So research and testing brings the generation of value to user closer to the business strategy, and those results can create or reinforce competitive differentials. All these concepts were compiled into a interpretation framework to analyze how these strategies can change the design value creation process. So we have 2 different paths, from the operational level to strategic level, as I said before. On the right side, we have the design-driven innovation, the concept from Verganti, more attached to the activities of design thinking. So it's about manage and control the design discourse into a more radical innovation led by design, by designers, and by the generation of new meanings. And on the left side, we have the user-centered approach, a more traditional approach from design, perspective, more attached to the user experience activities. So it's about usability patterns and the effectiveness of interfaces. And we have on the operational level a cycle of evaluation and testing that is common for the agile management. And the product view, it says project, but it's product. The product view operating all those exchange of meanings between detached dimension and operational dimension. So it's about gather new opportunities that only the team that are crafting interfaces, that are making the research, that are closer to user can see, and bring these to broader discussions inside the company to change the design strategy.
Great stuff. Thank you, Gabriel. Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you for your input. The framework looks absolutely great. So we're going to move on to the questions now. Can we move on a couple of slides, please, Gabriel? I think actually if we stop sharing for a moment, and then shall we move on to the questions, right? Let's make it dynamic. All right. Congratulations. Great study, buddy.
Okay.
No wonder you're working at such a cool company, huh? All right. So, question number 1 for Professor André. Why did design assume a central position for the creation of innovations in São Paulo context? All right.
Good. Thank you very much, Bernardo, for this opportunity. Very pleased to be here. Thank you for the bridge. Thank you, Gabriel, also for this opportunity. I think that I am an industrial engineer. I made my studies during the 90s as a production engineer. And São Paulo, at the time, during the 90s, it was mainly an industrial city. So we used to have lots of industries around us. So thinking about industry and processes and traditional products was very important, and it was the main paradigm. However, during the 2000s, we saw a disruption. Therefore, industries went away from São Paulo. So Barra Funda, ABC, and the other parts doesn't have so many industries that as they used to have. And in this empty space, we saw the emergence of the professional services that are currently the basis of São Paulo. So instead of being an industrial city, as we used to be during the 90s, we are now a very high-level service city. So this transition changed completely the way that we think about the possibilities and innovation in our city. If during the 90s, being efficient or providing the best value for what was expected was the competitive basis. But now we can think that going ahead, making something new, something special, something unexpected for the customer is the basis now for the competition. So São Paulo is a city that is led by services, and in the context of services and user experience, the presence and the performance of the designers are as important as an engineer, or maybe more important than an engineer, because designers have the capability of understanding users and translating these requirements for the new product or for the new service. So this is the transition.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andre. So what are the main actors participating in the development of innovations in São Paulo's context right now? Who do you think are the ones that are driving these sort of innovation projects right now in São Paulo?
This is also a special question, because we saw the emergence of services, but in parallel, São Paulo also become an entrepreneurial city. What does that mean? We have built an ecosystem for startups to emerge. So we currently have the services organization, which are very good customers for innovation and for the new. But we saw several other parts also being present and also acting in this environment. First, we have very good and very high-skilled entrepreneurs. So we observed a generation of entrepreneurs that were formed at Stanford, that went abroad to make the startup garage at Stanford and come back and built 99, built Revelo, built Quinto Andar, built Elo 7, etc. There is a generation of entrepreneurs that came from Stanford to apply. Then we have very high skilled professionals. So at USP, at the other universities around, some GV, Belas Artes, INSPER, SPM, we have very high skilled professionals being formed and then can somehow supply this need for high skilled labor. Also, during the 2000s, we saw the emergence of venture capitals. So we didn't have venture capital until 2002. The first VC company started in 2002, and now we have a mature ecosystem for the financial services, including angels, including VCs, including private equity. So we can make the small investments, the good investments, and until the high investments. And finally, I think that we have created the dynamics for this ecosystem to be very important. What do I mean by the dynamics? Everybody's connected. So I am the university part, but I work with the capital, I work with the service companies, I work with the entrepreneurs, and we form the skilled person that will go for the market. So this is how São Paulo become a very good city for services and for entrepreneurship around hypothesis-driven mechanisms.
Sounds great, André. I really miss going to the client meetings in São Paulo, eating some good food in the botecos, a bit of samba. So I really miss the entrepreneurial, the technology, but also the gastronomic scene of São Paulo. Living here in Santiago is not the same, but hopefully soon I'll be able to be with you again. Gabriel, Garbulho, back to you, my friend. You thought the work was over, huh? No, 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 no. Yeah, we're gonna get the most out of you. What changes do you see in the design areas of large companies since the time of the study when you did, it was 5 years ago, until now? What has changed?
Yes, there are many differences on the scenario, on the design scenario, even if it's a short period of time. But we saw the rise of the design leaderships. So the design leaders are taking the seat on the business discussion more frequently. And for me, it's very representative when we see the companies saying, using the concept of digital product instead of digital channel, because digital channel says just about a touch point, while digital product is about a whole concept of performance and in itself. So it's about a digital-based business, even on companies that had physical products or services.
Great.
And we are seeing the more recent rise of the design research as a everyday tool for the teams, and this is very important. I would highlight the importance of the generative research, because could bring new opportunities and could speed up the innovation on.
All right.
Right.
Cool. Excellent. All righty. So next question, back to Andre. So how do you think design contributes to the elaboration of the corporate strategy of organizations, right? So designers want to sit at the table. We are trying to convince the key stakeholders, the leadership, the C-level, to include the design leadership in the table of the big discussions and the big decisions, right? But how do we justify that? So how can design actually contribute with a corporate strategy of an organization? Never mind the digital strategy or the strategy for the customer experience. How does that work out?
Thanks for the question. We talked previously about two things that happened, the transition from industry to services and then the emergence of entrepreneurship. But there is another very important point that we should consider. It is the idea of complexity. What do I mean by that? During the 90s, although the world could be thought as dangerous as it is today, it was easier in terms of understanding the world. However, with the internet that was created or diffused during the 90s, 1995, the question of complexity increased a lot. And this question of complexity is not something that traditional managers, such as engineers or business people, are used to. So tackling a well-defined problem, what do I mean? A problem that has a right answer and all the other ones are wrong. It can be easily done by an engineer or can easily be done by a business professional. However, understanding a wicked problem, understanding a complex problem is not something that is usual or natural for this kind of professional. So the first thing to put design on the table is to recognize is that companies should recognize they are tackling complex problems. And if the problem is complex, it is necessary to adopt a different approach. So it's not possible to use the traditional engineering tools or the traditional business tool. We have to tackle complex problems using design. So when you start to see design at the top level, it is when you see a C-level or the president or the vice president or a director saying, well, this is a complex problem. We should think about that problem using design. And then there are some other very important things that have to be adopted by the company in order for the strategy to go ahead and for the company to tackle the problems. For example, the idea of working with the lean startup methodology. It's not possible to be right anymore the whole time. Companies have to accept that they have to fail in order to succeed, but this is not natural. So this is another change in the mindset of the company that brings design to the top position and also helps to tackle the complex problem, experimenting or trying solutions, fits, and all the other stuff. And finally, we think that design goes to the top level when companies start to adopt design thinking or the techniques and tools to tackle common problems. For example, we have a question of team, and I use design thinking to help the team to get better. Or I have something with the user, and thinking about the experience of the user is something that will help the board level to tackle this problem, to find a solution. So these are the three main components. The idea of companies understanding that they have to tackle complex problems, that it is important to go wrong in order to learn and to succeed. And finally, the design thinking is the correct approach to conduct all this kind of solution and diffusion of solution after that.
Sounds great, Andre. Thank you for that. Next question for you, my friend. How does design contribute to creating an innovation culture in organizations? And I would like to hear from you the specific case study of the hospital Albert Einstein. But be careful, because we have someone from Fleury Hospital here that already made comments on the transmission saying Fleury, Fleury. So they are cheering, huh? They are cheering that. But that's all good. That's all good. It's only a joke. So we would love to hear a little bit about this case study, because we talk a lot about theories and methodologies and frameworks, etc. But let's get to the reality here. Let's get down to the true stories. All right.
Thank you again. First, the beginning of the history is the same. We started to work with Stanford in 2013 and to learn with Stanford how they were packaging and applying design thinking in different contexts. So we were supported by Embraer when we started this project with Stanford. And when we come back from Stanford, we said, well, we have learned some new magics. We'd like to see our magics. And at this time, 2014, beginning of 2014, two companies said, yes, we want to be with you and to understand your new magics. One was Einstein and the other one was Fleury. So we have been working with Fleury also since 2014, 2015, applying more or less the same method. But what is the difference between Fleury and Einstein? We started to work with Einstein in 2014 in the very, very beginning of the creation of the innovation area. So at that time, Einstein was a company in the old paradigm that I was presenting previously. You could not be wrong. Problems should have a right answer. And finally, all the tools that were used the quality tools, the traditional quality tools. And what happened with Einstein? First, we started with the identification of the good problems, how to delight customers, how to make the doctor experience better, how to improve checkup processes, for example. So first, identifying the good problems. Then we created the idea of design thinking course that is a more or less serious course. Therefore, the problems are real. Secondly, the teams are multidisciplinary. So you have a doctor, you have a nurse, you have someone from reimbursement, you have someone from the hotel of Einstein, and all of them are put together in the same table in order to find the solution. So you run a traditional design thinking. But what happens next? It doesn't matter the quality of the solution. All solutions will be presented for the high-level board, will be presented for directors and for president and for vice president. The good solutions, therefore, suppose that we had 8. From these 8, 4 will go for the next stage and 4 will remain on the path. The next 4 will be for the design sprint, phase. So we will have 5 days or 14 days. That really doesn't matter. But the idea is to take the low fidelity prototype from the design thinking and to put that solution in terms of very, very, very specified requirements. And we worked with Tactile, which is a good consultancy company here in São Paulo that is specialized in design sprint. So this is the second phase that Einstein created, the idea of design thinking as the first phase, but everything must pass through the gate and then has to connect to design sprint if it was approved. After design sprint, so requirements have been refined, you have another view of the solution, you have another gate. And if the solution proceeds through the gate, then it goes for the innovation lab. So we saw Einstein creating also the innovation lab with the devs, with the developers, with the UX and the managers and all the stuff that happens when you have 3 very different people working together in the same project, which is one of the most important topics that we have today to analyze new types of work. And then at the lab, something that was required, only requirements will be translated into a service or a product or something like that. Then you have the big budget because you have to make this transition from requirements until the final solution. After the lab, you have another gate, that this gate is, are we going for the market or are we going to abandon the product? And then if it's going for the market, it is a completely new solution and probably not related with a surgery, which is the main activity of a hospital. So it's necessary to create the infrastructure and the environment for this solution to grow. So then we have the accelerator, which is Erets.bio, and Erets has the challenge of taking the solutions that were developed in the beginning at the design thinking, then the sprint, then the lab, and to find an entrepreneur. It can be someone from the hospital, but it can be someone from the outside, in order to be the CEO, the owner of the solution, and to make the solution grow during the different stages of the startup. Usually you are in the end of the customer validation phase, so you are almost there, but you make the final adjustments and then you go for acceleration. So something that started very, very, very early as a complex problem, customer experience, doctor experience, checkups, or something like that, following all the phases can be a startup, and this startup can be part of the company organization, of the company portfolio, and about the big picture. So the company can help strategically, or the solution can be helped strategically, or the solution can be profitable, or the solution can be important somehow, and then you have a new company based on the startup evolution process to explore the emerging solution. So this idea of combining design thinking, design sprint, lab, and the startup was really amazing to be observed at Einstein. That is, for us today, one of the best examples as a company that could adopt and really practice a culture of innovation based on the design principles, based on the recognition of the user as the main important source for for identifying opportunities and for creating the innovations and putting that on the market.
All right. Thank you, Andre. Great answer, my friend. Great answer. So we have a question from the marvelous Ellen Kiss, right? Even her name is great. Ellen Kiss, one of our great contributors of design leadership community. She's been one of the speakers in the past, and she has a question for you. So, how do you all see designers getting involved in the challenges that go beyond traditional design activities? Are they ready for that? Do they have the right skills? So starting from our point of view at the bridge, and thank you for your question, Ellen, much appreciated. So from our point of view, we feel that there is a great increase in the maturity level of the designers. Currently, the old saying that designers are good at making pretty screens, or they're good at design and the traditional sense of design, right? Making things pretty and etc. Or even UX designers that are really focused on usability and etc. We feel that the market in Latin America has come a long way in the last 4 years, right? Since we opened the bridge. So the bridge has been around since 2017. And we realized that actually Brazil, Argentina, as particular countries that are coming out with really, really forward-thinking talent. Here in Chile, we have some good examples as well of professionals in less numbers. Obviously, it's a smaller country, but we do find some really, really amazing talent. And people are starting to understand and to gain the maturity levels to face the kind of strategic problems that organizations are facing. And they're starting to gain more and more relevance, right? So when it comes to, for example, coming up with the whole concept and the actual direction and the business model and the product and the service itself that will be created by a new venture or a challenger company, the designers are being invited to work from the beginning. They are doing the research, they are getting the users involved, they are sitting with the board. So we've just started a really cool project in Jamaica. Most of you probably saw that we were hiring a lot of people in Jamaica. We have over 30 people working there. And guess what? The designers are at the beginning of the process, right? They are understanding what's going on in the market. They are making sure that the user's in the center, right? So this approach, this design-centric approach, it's taking a really, really high relevance with the client, right? And also we see that the leaders of the consultancies that are involved with the client, with the companies, with the incumbent companies that are launching these new products, new services, or even new channels, they are involving the design and the designers from the beginning, right? So we see that's a really great step forward. However, we still see a lot of people, of course, a lot of designers probably not so experienced yet in the creation of new ventures or creation of new services. They still don't have the full picture, right? So when I do interviews with these designers and my team does interviews with these designers, we still see a lot of talk about the usability, about the the end result, the buttons, the screens, the flow, the interactions, a focus on a particular process, right, of the design, instead of looking at, should we actually be selling this thing? Should we actually be selling to these people? Should we actually be selling in this manner, in this way that we're selling it? Do we need an app, right? I just read yesterday a really cool article about a new gaming company called Aria, if I'm not mistaken, by my friend Alessandro Straccia, who's working in Nottingham, UK. We actually send them through the bridge to work in Nottingham, UK, so I'm very proud of that. But the point is, Alessandro Straccia posted, wow, this is really cool. And what is it? It's a gaming company that's completely disruptive, because the games that they are going to sell, they are not going to be in the App Store. They're not going to be in Android. These are high fidelity games, high quality games that you can download directly from your browser, right? So there's no streaming, there's no lag, but there's also no App Store. And what does that mean? Well, the game developers first, they're going to be happy because they don't have paid 30% to Apple, right, to put the game in the Apple Store. And then the users are going to be happy because obviously that's going to bring the price down. That's going to make it easier for them to access the game. You just open a link and you play the game. And it's a quality game, right, that you play in your browsers. So they just got $10 million investment. So obviously, to come to that conclusion, I'm sure, and these are designers, right? They did a lot of game design. They've been working in this industry for a while. So this is really cool to see. You see professionals that are actually coming up with solutions that are really focused in the user, but of course they are benefiting the business, right? So they are helping the business because they're cutting Apple off of the picture, they're saving money, and at the same time they're providing a cool and a simple and an easy game experience for the end user. All right, so I think I kind of answered that question for you, Alan. Let's see if we have any more questions here.
May I just make a complementation?
Please, go for it.
Yeah, please. I completely agree with you, but I would like to go a step further because we saw designers coming from one point of the line to the beginning of the line in terms of the design-oriented company. But in the last semester, I was observing a student that was in charge of designing a design system. And we started to think about the design system, but 1 month after she came back and she said, no, it's not possible to make a design system if I don't understand what is quality in terms of the developer point of view and in the quality in the perspective of the project manager. So we started to discuss who is the designer, who is the project manager, and who is the developer. So I think that designers now have to think about going up in the chain so they can somehow be in, bring all that they have to think systemically in terms of the company, and this systemical thinking, that has to be something that combines the abilities of the design with business in order to have designers as CEOs. So this is our challenge today, how to form the designer CEO of the future.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. It's always a great pleasure to interview a designer that has also some business sense, right? So understands what is being looked for, what are the competitors, what are we trying to achieve here as a business, how are we trying to turn this into a relevant solution, right? Okay, one question for Gabriel, and we're coming to the end of the show today, guys and girls that are watching. Thank you everyone for watching. We have 47 people here live, so appreciate that. So Gabriel, short answer for this because we almost finished. How does the proposed model that you presented in your dissertation contributes to the evaluation of the design strategy, please?
Okay, I said enough about it, but to come to a closing, we have, I guess the main contribution is about having these two paths, because we are educated to have a focus on the user-centered approach, But we have another way of bringing new new meanings and transforming these into business opportunities. So you give a important example of your friend for us. So it's much about this movement, and it's about
All
the
right.
ability of bring new opportunities through design by combining new technologies, the generation of meaning, understanding the social movements and the social evolution.
Great. Thank you, Gabriel. All right. Well, look, it's been great. I had a great fun. I don't know about you, but I'm happy. This is our first LinkedIn Live. It took us a few months to get approval, but we're here now and we're going to make this a regular instance. So it's been really fun to have you both. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for preparing this for us. Congratulations on your studies and the current projects that you guys are running. All right. Thank you to the audience. This was Design Leadership Community powered by The Bridge. This is a monthly event, but who knows? It was so much fun that we might start doing it even more often. All right. If anyone wants to listen to this afterwards, it's recorded, it's going to be on. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a note, send me an inbox. Gabriel as well, if you want to write to him, get the presentation, get a copy of it. We're here for you. All right. Don't forget to check out the jobs. Of course, we have hundreds of jobs around Brazil, Latin America, and beyond. And if you're looking for talent, not just UX and design talent, of course, we have data scientists, agile squads. We are building complete squads for our teams now, not just individual talents. We have developers, front end, back end. We have a lot of data people as well, and more. All right. So get in touch with us. Here's the link. We look forward to the next live. And tomorrow is Friday. So enjoy. Have a good rest and take care of yourselves. Bye now.